Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Marlon Woods here with me today. How you doing, Marlon?
Yeah, I'm good, Seth. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say hi to you wherever you're tuned in from. It means a lot. So Roku TV, Apple TV, Android TV, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire. I deeply appreciate you being here today. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, drop comments in the chat. Let's get those reactions in. A question, hearts, likes, this emoji, that emoji. Let's rock and roll. Hey, Marlon, where you from?
Originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, boss.
Okay. Were you born in Cincinnati?
Yep. We are born and raised Cincinnati.
What was it like for you growing up in Cincinnati?
A lot of my, a lot of my exposure to, Cincinnati, especially as a child, was definitely through sports. A lot of my socialization was through sports. I played, football, in Forest Park. I played basketball in Lincoln Heights. I played baseball in Woodlawn. And so a lot of my socialization came through that and the guys I met through playing sports. So really the vast majority of my early life was just an extremely competitive time, but a very focused time as well. Like I remember being very focused as a kid, mainly because the vast majority of my life and time was spent competing.
Let's talk about socialization through sports. What were the influences that you got through sports that you were really able to grasp onto in order to become a man? Talk about it.
The biggest thing or the most significant impact from having the majority of my socialization come through that was competition. And it was the importance of competition and striving to be better, not necessarily than someone else, but just be better than I was the day before. The constant attention to detail, the constant attention to fine tuning different aspects of the sport, be it baseball, be it football, basketball, soccer, whatever it is. That was the first part. And then the second part was fear, and facing fear and being forced to, even something as little as, I'm scared to dribble with my left hand, but being forced to in the heat of a game, or being afraid of, attacking somebody bigger than you, but being forced to when the game is on the line or when the ball sweeps out to the right and you're the only person out there. When it comes to exposing or attacking weaknesses and that vulnerability that comes with sports, that's something I've dealt with like literally my entire life, facing into failure and failing multiple times, but coming back time and time again. That's something that I learned very early on, and it's definitely contributed to my resilience later on in life.
Right.
Hugely.
Competition is something that we need to keep on the forefront of our minds and our perspective in life. What are your thoughts on competition in today's generation? Can you speak on it?
Yeah, competition is healthy. You definitely run the risk of coming across as archaic, or as I like to put it today, toxic, or as I guess mentally unhealthy if you talk about competition, you talk about winners and losers, because the mentality today, as we very well know, is everyone gets a trophy. And we kind of go into this mentality of protecting people from failure and protecting people from losing and protecting people, or shielding people from the uncomfortable nature of failure. But I think it's something extremely important. Even if it's something as simple as losing at Monopoly, like
Yeah.
losing at a board game, it's important to face into failure and know that you're not always going to win, because it prepares you for those very same situations when you're when you're an adult and you don't have the protection of your parents, of your teachers, or of counselors. And competition has helped me so much, because it's taught me to be okay with failure and to learn from failure rather than being defeated by it. And today I fear that people don't get enough of that. So when met with disappointment, or when met with failure, or when met with rejection, they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
right.
leads to, lower resilience, which leads to, increased vulnerability and susceptibility to psychological harm, which,
Yeah.
is a completely, it's a completely other vicious cycle that people get put through. So there's a lot to be said about competition, especially at an early age.
Given that there are areas of our society that show that there has been a lot of psychological harm, especially in the past, let's say 20 or 30 years. People are outright talking about trauma. It's not something that's swept under the rug anymore. It's a
Right.
key word. It's a buzzword. It's the thing to do now, to talk about your trauma, to talk
Yeah.
about psychological damage that you've endured, and how psychological warfare is at play
Yeah.
every day in our lives. Do you think that it's possible that we are losing our competitive edge, and that could have something to do with the amount of psychological attacks that we're facing? And what I mean,
I,
and to take it a little bit deeper, what I mean is this: are we softening? Are we softening um, our identities?
right.
Am I saying don't be too masculine, because then you'll get a little bit further ahead. Don't be too feminine, because then you'll get a little bit further ahead. And do we feel better as a society when people are just a little bit closer to the middle? And is that bad?
I think there's multiple elements at play here. Number one, I think there's a fine line between resilience and repression. And so when we go back a generation before ours, so let's talk about Generation X. Um, these are people, grew up 60s, 70s, 80s. When we talk about this group of people, we start to get into expression of self. We start to get into a little more awareness of the self. Um, we really start getting into kind of that theory of mind, that concept that I'm existing and other people are existing, and I have my issues, but they have their issues as well. We go a generation further back, we're talking about baby boomers now, and we start to get into repression. Whereas we understand theory of mind, we understand people have issues, we understand we have issues, but absolutely nobody is talking about it. And this is where we get into in the territory where we do have that unhealthy association with, let's say, parental relationships, unhealthy relationships with failure, unhealthy relationships with our emotional states, unhealthy relationships with our mental health. Where we are now is, as you said, this period of unprecedented and hyper expression, to where you're right, it's almost trendy to have to suffer from mental health issues. And because mental health has become such an important topic, it's become a trend, which is dangerous, because then you have people latching on to this idea of, oh, I have issues, I have problems, when actually it may be a lack of something else. It could be a lack of resilience. It could be a lack of accountability. It could be a lack of, and I'm not saying that having low resilience is a bad thing, but I'm
Mhm.
saying these are things that potentially could be helped with a little more exposure to rejection, with a little more exposure
Mhm.
to failure. So
Well, I want
today,
I want I want to add this to it.
Yeah.
First of all, when you connected competition to psychological damage, my light bulb went off all crazy. I think that
Right.
was absolutely huge. I never had a man in my life, a father, especially in my formative years, to place me into organized sports. My entire concept of competition came for me in 10th grade.
Right.
And when you connect competition to psychological damage and then the potential lack of resiliency, I know at least hundreds of other young men or young women who never had a father or a mother to place them in competitive spaces growing up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you learn about competition and the values and the features of competition because you landed in a great place. Sometimes you learn about competition by way of luck. It's almost luck or happenstance.
Yeah.
But when you connect lack of competition to a potential increase in psychological damage, which could be an increase in lack of resilience, and then obviously lesser life outcomes, I'm thinking, well, are we keeping competition at the forefront in our conversations, in our homes, in our communities? Are we making sure that young men and young women are having opportunities to be competitive? You
Yeah.
know, I've
When
been
it
I've been
comes
in
to
barbershop. I've been in barbershop conversations where the conversation is we need to do away with football, man, because CTE, these people, they getting hit too hard.
yeah.
We think about sports too much altogether. We play too many games.
Yeah.
But in this conversation with you, I'm thinking, where else do we get those levels of competition? Go ahead.
It's 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 about the themes. So to me, sport is one of the safest and earliest ways you can expose children to the themes associated with failure, with rejection, with discipline, with resiliency. For example, I can go out and take my child, or let's say my child doesn't play any sports, and or they experience no competition throughout their life, and they graduate high school and they apply to college and they get a rejection letter. That it's not about the specific instance of receiving that rejection letter. It's not the direct parallel between that and sports, but it's that theme, that feeling of falling short is the same tone as, say, I'm playing football and I lose my starting position, or say I try for the basketball team and I don't make it, or say I try for the cheerleading team and I don't make it. Say I try for school play and I don't make it. Being able to sit with those feelings of, wow, I went out for this, I was vulnerable, I put myself out there and I didn't get it. Knowing how that feels and being aware of how that makes you feel and surviving that, though it sounds dramatic, surviving that and moving on to the next thing, or maybe deciding, I'm going to try out again next year. That same lesson that's implanted when you try out for the team at 7, 8, 9 years old, when you try out for the school play at 10, 11, 12 years old, that same resilience, that's what's going to help you bounce back when you get that rejection letter from college. That's what's going to help you bounce back when you don't get that job you went out for. That's what's going to help you bounce back when you get dunked by a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or you get rejected by somebody. The
That's right.
problem is when we talk about competition, we we don't talk about the themes associated with the competition. We always go directly to, oh, that person who's a sore loser, or the person who's a sore winner, or or the kid who's crying because when they lost, this person laughed at them and kicked them while they were down. We always go to the extremes, but there's so many lessons within competition, be it sport, be it theater, whatever it is, that teach us how to deal with real life situations when we're outside of
That's right.
school.
That's right. I can't disagree with anything that you're saying right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get some hearts and likes in the building. We're talking to Marlon Woods. He's had a wealth of experience that he's bringing to us early inside of this hour on America's Next Motivator. For me, as I'm listening to you, the root of competition is compete, and I'm thinking of the word competence. And life is about being competent. And so in competition, the underlying back and forth is about, are we being competent? Am I more competent than you? Are you more competent than me? Because in life, you have to be competent. And so what I'm getting already in this conversation is that we need to make sure that we're keeping competition at the forefront of our thoughts on raising one another, dealing with one another. If you're an adult and maybe you're working somewhere that you don't love, maybe your life is in a place that you don't love, find a way to get yourself in a competitive position. Do something competitive and see if it'll add more value in your life. We're not just talking about children tonight. We're talking about the theme of competition. Are we losing it in our communities? Are we settling for being less competitive? Oh no, you got it. Oh no, she got it. You go out there and be ultimately victorious. I'll fall back. No. Exactly. All of us. And when I say all of us, I'm talking about each and every person who's tuned in tonight. Doesn't matter the color of your skin, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter your background. It's about getting in the game of life.
Yeah.
What was middle school like for you?
Middle school was interesting, bro. That was probably middle school was probably my least favorite period throughout my upbringing, because it was and strangely, well, not strangely, but sports helped me navigate middle school so much, because the thing I was good at was competing, and the thing I was good at was sport. And so I went into middle school. I came from a white elementary school, Lakeside Elementary School. And when I came to middle school, I was confronted with the fact that I wasn't cool. I was confronted with the fact that I wasn't wearing the right clothes. I wasn't wearing the right shoes. I thought, my mom sent me to this elementary school because she wanted me to compete, because she was like, I want you to be at school with people who don't look like you. I don't want you to be at school with people who are extremely smart. Not saying Black people aren't smart, and she wanted me to compete. She wanted me to rise to the occasion. She wanted me to be exposed to people who didn't talk like me, who didn't dress like me, and I embraced that. And when I got to middle school, it was a completely different game. Kids who had come from the other elementary schools in our district, Waycross, Winton Forest, Forest View, all of these other schools, they had different priorities. Okay, it was about being popular. It was about your clothes. It was about your hair. And so I had to kind of reintegrate myself. And I was like, whoa, like I need to keep up, because these people look like me. They talk like me. These are the people I played sports with outside of school. And I want them to think I'm cool, and I want to be popular. And I struggled with identity massively in 7th grade. Not so much in 8th grade, but even still a little bit, just trying to play catch up. But my anchor was basketball. My anchor was football. My anchor was track, because the one thing Marlon was good at, undoubtedly, was competing.
That's right. We have 444,000 youth in the foster care system today. I am not sure that anyone is putting them in spaces to be competitive. And competition takes on different forms. There are different types of competition. There are so many different types of competition that we want to get out in front of this. Hashtag competition. Somebody put hashtag competition in the chat. Born right here on America's Next Motivator. Making sure that our children and us, some of us, our grown folks, are engaged in healthy competitions.
Yeah.
you go into some cities across America. There's a competition going on right now of how many people can you cause bodily harm. That's a competition.
Yeah.
How many people can you get into a relationship with without one or the other knowing? That's a competition.
Yeah.
And so competition is a much bigger theme than I've ever realized before having this conversation with you here tonight. And so everybody out there, let's rethink competition, how important it is, how it's going to happen anyway, and how we need to prepare one another and ourselves through competition. Now, what was high school like for you, given the fact that you were an athlete and you had certain anchors that would allow you to
Mhm.
survive? What was high school like for you?
High school was this perfect amalgamation of I had spent time in middle school, getting to know who I felt like I should know. I was playing sports, I was competing, but at the same time, I was still focused on school, still focused on education. And because high school, we're starting to edge closer to the real world. People are talking about college, people are talking about graduating, people are talking about families, talking about real life. I had this added component of, well, Marlon's always had his stuff together, and Marlon's always played sports. And so he has these two very important, very key things for him that are playing in his favor, that are going to allow him to come out towards the top when we graduate high school. And so high school was amazing for me, man. I would relive high school 100 times over,
Right.
because every year, seriously, every year, 9, 10, 11, 12, man, it was fun. Sports were fun. As the body starts to go, continue to go through changes, and you begin to mature physically and mentally, even though we were nowhere near quote unquote mature in high school. But starting to learn these life lessons and starting to be held more accountable for my decisions, and getting a little more exposure to the real world, and to making money, and to making mistakes, and seeing people graduate, seeing, kind of getting glimpses of what's next. It was an incredible time for me, man, because I hated being a kid. I
I
hated
did
being a
too.
kid.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I
I,
did too. Yeah, yeah.
I hated being a kid because I felt like I was limited by my age. I felt like there were so many more things I wanted to do and could have done, but wasn't given the opportunity or chance to, because I was young. And we get the, like, we come across the instances of people who are trying to grow up too fast. So you need to enjoy being a kid, and there's definitely aspects of it I enjoy. But when I look back, my first really, like, 13 years of life, I was frustrated.
Yeah.
I was frustrated because I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, but I couldn't. And so high school was this opportunity for me to really kind of begin to spread my wings and start to go into different things, start to show people, hey, I can do this, hey, I can do that, I can do this. So yeah, high school was amazing, man. It was amazing.
High school was high school was a huge podcast. it
Yeah,
was it
man, a
was
huge podcast.
high school was a huge podcast, man.
Woo.
What high school did you go to, and talk about the spirit there?
Yeah, so I went to Wentworth High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. Um, if I had to describe the spirit of Wentworth in one word, it'd be scrappy.
Mhm.
Scrappy. Um, When Woods was absolutely not refined, but we were resilient, and that goes for, and that's for everything. That's not only people who play sports. That's academics. That's drama. That's the theater school plays, the band. It was a scrappy high school, even from, like, the way the school looked, like the way the facilities were. Like, it was a scrappy high school. And what I enjoyed about that was you were surrounded by people who were more or less obsessed with being better. Not all of us, obviously, but the vast majority of us. There was this huge want to do something else, to be better. My senior year, 22 of us signed scholarships for football. Like
Wow.
being surrounded by, being surrounded by people who are so like-minded. I think between class 2006, class 2007, I think we set the record for money awarded in scholarships to go to college, because we almost turned it into a competition. We almost made it this thing where, like, you know what, as many of us as possible are going to make it out of here. Okay, because we had seen what happens to people who don't leave Cincinnati. We had seen what happens to people who become a statistic. You and I, and probably most people went to school with, know what it's like to know someone and for them to be killed, or for them to be or for them to be in jail. Like, we were exposed to these things, and so it created this hunger and this drive to just be better. And in that sense, Winton Woods was just, it was the perfect place for me to be, because it was like a springboard.
That's right. The sense of pride that you're able to gain in some of these cultures is just invaluable. You can't explain how you're coming down the hallway and there are several people who are just excellent. Several people who are excellent in different areas, in different ways, and the way that it inspires you. It inspires you. So for all those people who are immersed in cultures of competition, of scrappiness, of grit, resilience, around people who are obsessed with being better, all the stuff that Marlon is saying right now, appreciate it, love it, enjoy it, bask in it. Marlon, what do you say to seniors who they've graduated through the pandemic, and they need a word from you tonight, particularly seniors or rising seniors of Winton Woods High School? What do you say to them tonight?
What I say to them is, people can't dream what they can't see. And I say this all the time. People can't dream what they can't see. And if you can't see it, then you have to paint the picture. It's not going to look the way you want it to look in the beginning. You may not know exactly what it looks like, but if you can if you can stay focused on a goal, if you can stay focused on a dream, you can make it happen. I didn't know what it was going to look like in 4 years for me when I left high school. All I knew was I was going to college and football was going to pay for it. That's what I knew. I had no idea what that was going to look like. When I packed a car, I had a TV VCR, I had my PS2. I had NCAA.
He said he had the TV VCR.
The TV VCR. Thought I was something.
Yeah, you thought you was. Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, drop a 1 in the chat. Put some emojis in the building. We're talking to Marlon Woods, transparent about his journey leading up to college. We're gonna talk more to him about the work he's doing today, and we're not finished. So you guys sit tight, and we'll be right back after this brief message. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network and our viewership. back. Hey, Marlon, how you feeling out there?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Real good.
Yeah, we got a comment. First of all, we have some visitors here today. Chastity Curry says hello, saying hello back to you. Yolanda
What's up,
Riley says
Chastity?
hello, saying hello back to you as well. And Stephen Cleary says strong words from two strong warriors. That's right.
Steven, what's up, bro?
So, if you're just now tuning in, Marlon was talking about school spirit. He's talking about just the culture that he came out of and how he went out into the world just knowing that he was going to find a way, whatever that way might have been. So now, as when you arrived to college, what were your thoughts? Like, what happened when you got to college? What happened?
Well, I went to school at Bucknell University in Pennsylvania. That was a huge culture shock for me, first and foremost.
Okay.
I was surrounded by people who were nothing like me. They showed up in BMWs, Benzes, Jaguars, Lexus, Acuras. They were wearing J. Crew. They were wearing Polo. They were wearing Sperry, Vera Wang, and I'm like, I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on. I had the benefit, of showing up early for football, and that was familiar to me, and so I latched onto that. But football at the college level was, even though football in the woods was definitely no walk in the park. Um, Doing it at that next level, the level of commitment, the speed, of the game, the hours outside of practice, hours off the field that you spend watching film, that you spend training, that you spend in meetings, with this added component of school. And I mean, I'm not saying high school was easy, but college is not the same. In the beginning, I struggled with a lot of self-pity, with a lot of, oh, I can't do this, with a lot of, oh, I want to go home, I miss my friends, I miss my family, I miss Cincinnati. So my first semester of college, actually, I had a 1.08 GPA that first semester. I mean, I came out of high school, 3.9,
Mm-hmm.
and that first semester had a 1.08. I almost got kicked out of school. Was
Mm-hmm.
ineligible to run track that winter. Was ineligible for football. Was put into an academic remediation program. For study hall, and that was really, my mom had to write all these letters and stuff to the school about why they shouldn't kick me out, and that was a huge wake up call for me. And it was a huge dose of accountability, and that really, like, that switched everything from me, because from that first semester I never got under 3.5. And I
Wow.
was like, I have a responsibility. I went to school year round to try and pull my GPA up. I went to school every summer, literally every summer. Went to school for the next 3 summers. I'm sorry, 3 summers. I was in school. Finished my major early because of that, because I was doing those courses over the summers. But yeah, that first year was that first lesson. Like, if this is gonna happen, it has to be you that does. Nobody else is gonna do it for you.
In this moment right here, I feel that you are an inspiration to so many thousands of people across America and even across the world. People get into that culture shock that you're talking about, and it becomes a mental health concern. It becomes a mental health scenario of how do I keep my sanity? How do I continue to transform into an even better person? Do I know how to read faster? Do I know how to synthesize an essay faster? Am I actually capable of these levels of thought?
Yeah,
And the overwhelming expectation is yes. Sometimes when you
yeah,
look back on your past, you're thinking, nah, I didn't see that anywhere back there that I could
yeah,
transform into an actual star. I didn't see it. I mean, I knew I was great. I knew I was cool and all that. But this, you know, this is where you're an inspiration for so many thousands of people. We've had that moment. I've had that moment where you're like, whoa, I see the next level.
Yeah.
And it's way out there. It's not right here. It's not right here. Easily grabbable for me. It's something I'm going to have to hunker down. I'm going to have to transform again.
Yeah.
What I want to co-champion with Marlon on tonight is that life is a series of transformations. I don't know when you are finished transforming. I don't know when you're finished transforming. I know a few 60-year-olds who are transforming again right now at 60 years old. 65 years old, they're transforming again. Some people, they live a successful life, they retire, and then they transform again by starting all over in a totally different career field.
Yeah.
And so we have to take this moment right here to make it a victorious moment for all of our listeners, for ourselves, and for our family members, that transformation is key. Transformation is something that doesn't stop. It doesn't end. And you can do it. You can transform. I'm calling on your transformation tonight. Think about it. If you're not where you want to be, you can transform again. It's not over.
Absolutely.
Let your light bulbs go off. I'm gonna turn my light down and turn it back up for you so you can get it. Yeah. Just like that, you could transform tomorrow. You could transform again. That's what Marlon did. He transformed. You finished school early. What did you do? What did you do after college?
After school, I went into politics. I went to D.C. working for Senator Sherrod Brown. He was Democratic senator for Ohio. I started as an administrative intern, did some projects as an intern. Kind of took the lead on some things and became an administrative assistant, and then legislative correspondent. And I worked with housing and urban development, I worked with education, and I worked with homeland security and intelligence committees as well. And that was kind of where, my interest in intelligence in the military came from. Got some guidance, I wanted to work, as most guys who graduate college they want to be a special agent. And so because of that, I'd expressed that to someone. They told me I should join the military. And so shortly after I left DC, politics in DC, I joined the military and went into the military.
Hold on. You wanted to be a special agent like 007?
Yeah. That's what I wanted to be.
Okay.
Yeah, wanted to be a special agent, wearing the badge around the neck like bad boys.
Right.
Absolutely what I wanted to be. But I knew I needed to gain some more experience and education to separate myself from the pack, because getting into one of those jobs is literally like winning the lottery, especially in the US. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are applying for those jobs every single time. And so the military really helped me separate myself from the pack.
Okay. What did you gain from the military per se? What did you what value did it add?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Number one, the importance of serving something bigger than you. Number two, accountability for yourself and others. Number three, the importance of trusting the person behind you. Number four, complacency kills. And number five, the world is overwhelmingly average.
Wow. What do you mean by that? The world is overwhelmingly average. What do you mean by that?
So when I went into the military, I wanted to know that I was going to do my 4 or 5 years and I was going to get out, because I was doing this as a means to an end, to become a special agent. And I went in saying, Marlon, this is not going to end up like pretty much everything else in your life has. You're not going to worry about being the best at anything. You're not going to worry about trying to lead anything. You're not going to worry about trying to compete with anybody. You just want to come in, kind of go middle of the road, not, just do this and be done. And what I remember having that conversation with myself, like, don't try and exceed any expectations. Just toe the line until you're out, and that'll make this as easy as possible. 2 weeks into basic training, I was the leader of our platoon, and 4 weeks into basic training, they were telling me that they wanted me to compete for battalion soldier of the cycle. And the day I won soldier of the cycle, so soldier cycle, essentially, you have a bunch of different groups who go into basic training together, a couple hundred soldiers, and you go to a board, you answer questions, you have to get a certain score when you go to the shooting range, you have to achieve a certain score when you do your PT test. And out of all of that stuff, I won. And so I got my first medal, my Army Achievement Medal, when I was in basic training. And walking back from this competition, my drill sergeant, Sergeant First Class Lee, he said to me, Woods, he said, the world is overwhelmingly average. And he says, if you keep going at the pace you are, and if you just keep doing what you're doing, you keep being who you are, I can see it in you, it's part of you, you're going to go far in life. And when he said that, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. How can the world be overwhelmingly average? And then I was like, oh, wait a second. That makes perfect sense. The average person is average. And there's nothing wrong with being average. Like, absolutely nothing wrong. But for those select few of us who want something more, if you continue to strive for that and you keep that in your mind, you'd be amazed at how far you can go, because the average person is just going to do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
There are not very many of us who are going above and beyond. And that's hard for people to hear. And that's hard for people to swallow, because on average, the person you're going to be talking to is average. Right. And to be met with that, to be confronted with that can be traumatic and can be confronting for people, because people don't want to face into the fact that they want above average results for average or below average input. But these days, and this kind of circles back to the conversation we were having about competition. If you're someone who doesn't want to accept that, you're in the minority. That person who's willing to get up at 4 a.m., that person who's willing to obsess over lifting weights, that person who's willing to obsess over saving money, that person who's willing to obsess over playing tennis. Those people, those are the outliers. They're in the minority, because people respond to them and react to them with aversion, because people can't relate to that. People can't relate. The average person cannot relate to, why is Marlon getting up at 5:45, 6 o'clock every day? Why is Marlon going swimming? Why is Marlon running every day? Why is Marlon practicing in the mirror for 3 hours? Why is Marlon still going to school? I've been going to school for 23 years, 25 years straight now. Have not stopped. I'm working on my 4th, 5th, and 6th degrees. The average
Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get some hearts and lights in the building tonight. What he's talking about is that core of humanity, that's star power. He's explaining star power to us right now. And I'm a big supporter of appreciating people while they're here with us. Let's get some reactions in the building, some hearts, some likes, some comments, some questions, because this is some of the stuff that we need to be reminded about in our daily lives, in our rooms, in our barbershops, in our cafeterias. Obsess over your own future. Obsess over it. Go out there and get it. You say you've been in school for 20-something years straight. I'm going to get out your way and let you continue. Go ahead, man. You've been in school for 20 years straight. Go ahead.
It's every time I've graduated, I go through, I graduate and I say, okay, cool, I'm going to just chill for a little bit. But then 2 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by, and I feel myself falling behind. I feel myself, like I feel internally, I feel like I'm not learning. I'm not getting better. And this is not because of some external esoteric force that's forcing me to do that. It's coming from inside of me because I'm obsessed over my success. I'm obsessed over I'm obsessing over getting better. I'm obsessing over how can Marlon improve from where he was yesterday. And so every time I graduate, I go back and I say, what else can I learn? What else can I do? How can I be better? And I keep going back. I keep going back. I keep going back. The average person they can't, they can't understand that. It doesn't have to be school. It can be farming. It can be music. It can be art. It can be literature. It can be
Yeah.
sport. It can be
Yeah.
anything.
It can be all of those
We
things. It can be all of those things.
exactly.
Yeah.
It can
And
be all of those things.
what I see is that people have come a long way, and there have been a lot of claims on people about what you can't do, that you can go
Mm,
far, but I mean, there's only but so much you can do. You can be a master at one thing, but don't try to be a jack of all trades, because you wear yourself out too thin and you end up not doing anything. And it's those types of mentalities that stop people from massive achievement. You
yes,
you are exemplifying the fact that one man can change the world.
that's what I'm
One
trying to do,
man,
bro.
one man can change the world. If you grab a stone and you go put it in a pile, and then you go back and you grab another stone and you put it on a pile, and if you spend your entire life doing that and you build a skyscraper by yourself, maybe we've never seen a man build a skyscraper by himself before. But that's what you're exemplifying today. And obviously there's a team. There's always a team, people that you work alongside and you love. And let's talk about that a little bit. Programs. Who are we without the program? Do we need the program in order to continue to get better and feel like we are excelling and refining and growing? Do we need programs?
I believe you do. I think what and programs come in many different forms, right? Programs come in the forms of sports teams. Programs come in the forms of the gym you go to. Programs come in the form of the school you go to. Programs come in the form of the people you associate with. Um, it doesn't necessarily have to, it's not always, a place you go to. It can be where you exist. It can be the space you exist in. But
That's
those
right.
relationships, those connections, those bonds, be they positive or negative, they shape who we are.
That's right.
And
Right.
whether you're the most lone wolf you've ever come across, or you're someone who has 50,000 friends, you are shaped in one way or another by the people who you associate with.
That's right.
And we've all been shaped by other people, whether it's someone who's rejected us, someone who's accepted us, someone who's shown us what could be, someone who's told us no. There's no shortage of people out here telling us what we can't do.
That's right.
Those people shape us.
That's right.
Those people shape us. And humans are put on this planet to relate. You're put on this planet to relate to one another. And even though, some people say, I built this by myself, or I did this, or I put, or I've always been a loner. You're still shaped by other people in your life, because attracting forces are just as important as opposing forces. And regardless of whether something is pulling or pushing you, it's still directing you on a certain path.
One way or another.
And so I
That's right.
think, yeah, exactly, one way or another, people and programs are extremely important, extremely important.
That's right. Now, I came across a video of you a little while ago that was going absolutely viral, and you were a member of an organization called Les Mills. Can you speak
Mhm.
on that? What are you doing at Les Mills? What is Les Mills, and what's all the excitement about? Talk about it.
So Les Mills is an international company founded and created in New Zealand, and it's a group fitness company. And it sprouted up 1968, right around the time the fitness craze was taking off, and created this product that was scalable to large numbers of people, across, language and cultural barriers and boundaries. And yeah, they've created products that are cardio based, that are strength based, that are combat based, and it's exercise at the group level. So when you go to your gym and you see the person up on the stage teaching, the
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on, Marlon. I was going to say we can't hear you, but while we process what you're saying right now, I want to give everybody a visual. I went out there and I found a video of Marlon actually leading instruction with Les Mills. I want you guys to check this video out and tell me if you don't love this energy and want this energy. Check this video out. Let's get those reactions and comments in the building. Check this out, guys. If you can hear a video, drop a 1 in the chat. Wow.
Now tuck the chin. Roll the shoulders forward.
How many people are in there?
I think there's that was a smaller setup. It was about 50, 60 people in there.
Okay.
But the most I talked to was 1,500.
1,500 people?
Yes.
Yeah.
I see you working hard out there. But you know what?
Wow. And that's you right there on the right of our speaker. Are you on the stage?
No, I'm not on stage anymore. Not on.
Oh man.
Okay, you work.
See the look in your faces.
Yeah.
That's right. Are you traveling further?
So this is what Marlon does. We got some comments coming into the building. Stephen Cleary dropped a 1 in the building. Ani King Riley dropped a 1 in the building. As you guys can see, this is Les Mills Combat 77 Sizzler. And you guys can get back, you can get into the video and you can skip around. Is that you right there, Marlon?
One left.
Yeah,
just notice how you roll the body forward.
Yeah. And so you guys go out there, look up Les Mills and feel the energy, the inspiration of what these folks are doing. I think this is something that we need more of here in America. When we talk about programs, the need for programming, the need for competition, the need for group energy. You guys go out there and look at some of those Les Mills video featuring Marlon Woods and tell me you don't want that energy in your life. Tell me that you don't want that level of programming, structure, stricture, and fitness in your life. Let's blow up the chat. Let's blow up the chat, man. I'm real happy to see the things that you're doing out there with Les Mills. And you are what's your exact title? You're a master instructor there?
No, yeah, international master trainer.
International master trainer at Les Mills. That's super cool, man.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
It's Les Mills has literally changed my life, bro. It's so many people connect through exercise, and exercise is such an important thing for people regarding physical, mental, psychological, emotional health, spiritual health. It transcends the physical at times, and the messages, I get messages every day from people all over the world. Like, it's just Les Mills has given me this platform to continue to propagate this message. And my biggest message for the world is, I love each and every person I come across. I see each and every person I come across, and none of us are alone. None of us are alone, no matter how alone you may feel. Like, it's no matter how unrelatable you may feel, no matter how isolated you may feel, someone out there knows what you're going through and understands and is willing to listen, or has been there before. And it's just, I'm so grateful for Les Mills because it gives me this platform to reach people in 180 plus countries.
Wow.
It's literally all over the world.
That's right.
I get messages from people everywhere, from Senegal to Syria, from Canada to Tokyo. Like, it's insane.
So let me get this straight. So you have discovered a whole world out there called Les Mills, and you are now instructing people in group settings reaching countries all over planet Earth. That's what you do.
Yes.
Absolutely huge. This is phenomenal. Everybody out there, look up Les Mills. Can anybody get involved with Les Mills right here in North America? Can anybody do it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The U.S. is Les Mills' biggest market. They're in clubs all over the place. You can find clubs that offer Les Mills. Les Mills on Demand is our online offering. You can do it online, at your leisure. Tons of resources. You can get it in person. You can get it at the club, but it's so different from what I used to do, from powerlifting, from bodybuilding, from CrossFit, but honestly, just as effective, just in a different way.
Let's go. We got 20 seconds left in the show. 20 seconds left in the show. I got 3 questions for you. I need you to answer all of them within 20 seconds. The first, what is survival to you?
Adapting.
What is success to you?
Contribution.
What is greatness to you?
Serving.
Marlon Woods, I want to let you know that I've listened to your story today. I've been extremely edified by this conversation and your experience, how you took the hallmarks of what your parents, what your people wanted, what you wanted, and you're still working on yourself to this day. I'm giving you your respect today while you're still with us. And ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. We're giving you your crown today while you're still here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Marlon Woods, you are America's next motivator.
Thanks, bro.
You're welcome. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do is stop by and pick it up.